And joining me here now is Superintendent of Public Instruction, Sherry Ibarra. Sherry, thank you so much for coming in and agreeing to be interviewed.
It's my pleasure.
First of all, this week we had the budget, the career ladder bill, go through the House, the Senate, and signed by the governor. I guess first, your reaction.
It's a very exciting time in education. I have always supported raises for teachers, and so this is just a step in the right direction.
They said there was this is going to kind of change how education is funded fundamentally. Could you go through some of the more interesting points that how it's going to affect teachers in real time?
You know, we have talked about for years that we need to attract and retain high quality professionals, and that we need to raise the profession, and what are some of the different ways that we could do that. And so this has been in play for about 4 years or longer, and so this is one of those steps in the right direction where we'll have an opportunity to raise teacher salary and attract those professionals, those high quality professionals that we're looking for, and reward our brightest and our best. So again, it's just a really exciting time, and it's one of those items that we've been working on for a very long time. It was a very collaborative process, and so we want to attract the best and the brightest, and this is one of those ways that we can do that.
Attract the best and the brightest, but retain the best and the brightest
Absolutely,
as well.
absolutely, and actually retaining those professionals that do that tough work and spend all day long with our most precious commodity.
So tell me how giving teachers more money is going to relate to better education for students here in Idaho.
You know, those are the items that affect at the classroom level what goes on with our students. And those are the folks that spend every day with our most precious commodity. I have a story that I would like to share that I think is really important. I was evaluating a student teacher one time, and they said to me, you know, Mrs. Ibarra, I spent hours trying to put this math lesson together, and I had it all perfect, and it was a 50-minute lesson, and when I actually taught it to the kids, it was only 10 minutes, and that happened to be the one time you came in here to evaluate me, and I had 40 minutes to fill with nothing to do. And there's nothing worse than having the administrator in the classroom and 7-year-olds peering at you, and you've put all this hard work into this great lesson, and then all of a sudden, it's harder than you think it is. And so that's a good indicator that bureaucracy and relationships are so important, and never, never, never let bureaucracy stand in the way of those talented professionals that spend every day with our most precious commodity. You have to understand that is a tough, tough, tough job. And teachers do things all the time that we never see, including taking care of bellies that are empty and bodies that are very, very tired. So.
It was actually more money than you had requested in your budget. It was more on par with Governor Otter's proposal, which was 7.4%. How do you feel how that all played out? And do you think that the additional money is going to help versus the plan that you had intended on?
You know, actually I walked into that budget, and so I think it's excellent. You know, that 7.4% increase. More than $1 billion is excellent. That we all said this is the year for education, and that just proves the collaborative effort that everybody has to make sure education was a priority this year.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I also noticed was SchoolNet. We heard a report in the last week or so about how it is not functioning as it was intended. The number out there, about $60 million. You had mentioned through the press that you had wanted to see, you're probably going to have to sit down and fix this going forward. How do you intend to do that?
You know, I've always said that we need to focus on solutions and not the problem. So in moving forward, we are still going to offer SchoolNet to school districts who are using it and who like it, but also we are offering that system at the district level as well for districts to choose their own and what best fits the needs of their students. It's called an LMS, or a learning management system, so they can either choose SchoolNet or they can choose to use what works best for their community.
Measuring the progress that students are making is very important, at least to my understanding of how education works. How does that play in your goals, your ultimate plan?
Achievement is really important. I think the taxpayers understand that, and they want to know how our kids are doing. And you had just talked about SchoolNet, and actually that's what a learning management system does, is it helps folks to measure that achievement and show the growth in our children. So that's one of those items that's been a priority for us in helping districts measure their achievement at that level.
Yeah. Well, this is the first step in getting more money for education here in the state. I imagine the next steps might be a little bit more difficult. I mean, as you know, the state is fairly small. The tax income is relatively small as well, and we're already spending about a little more than 50 cents on the dollar for taxes for education. Do you think it's going to be harder here on out?
You know, I don't think that that's just a problem that's localized to Idaho. That's probably a national issue that we need to take a look at. If we had all the money in the world, I've said it probably wouldn't be enough. It's more important to take a look at what are we spending our dollars on, and are we putting our dollars in the right places that are really helping folks at the district level affect achievement. That's really what we need to be looking at.
So at the signing ceremony this week for the Career Ladder bill, there was mentioned that this is the first step. This is not how we intend, this isn't the final bill, essentially. What did you mean by that?
Well, in moving forward in education, we do have a lot to work to do. We need to take a look at, like we've said before, common sense technology. We need to look at our culture in education. We need to support and raise the profession. I think I've said before that we've been in a toxic culture for a while, and again, that's not just localized to Idaho, it's a national issue. And so we have to focus in moving forward on raising the profession and however we need to do that, supporting our teachers, attracting and retaining those professionals in the field and those ones that are fresh out of college and coming in. You know, making sure that we're spending every dollar appropriately and that it's getting down to the classroom level, making sure that we are decentralizing education so that the folks at the local level who know their kids best are able to make those choices that really affect change down to that student level.
So the follow-up to that question would be, are you then supportive of the Governor's Task Force recommendations as we slowly implement them over time?
Yes. We are supportive, and that's just a step in the right direction towards decentralizing education.
All right, last question. Rate our schools. How are we doing education-wise?
You know, we have done so many wonderful things in education, and I think that's really something that we need to focus on. We often, it's just been so sad to watch the media bash education, and we have, that's a national issue again, that's not just localized to Idaho, and it's caused a really toxic culture. We've done wonderful things. For example, we are graduating kids at even a higher rate in this nation than we ever have before. We've put someone on the moon. We're closing those achievement gaps. So we need to remember all the great things that we've done in education and not worry so much about rating our schools, but what is it that we're doing to help students graduate? What is it that we're doing to help close the achievement gaps? Teachers are working their tails off, doing the best they can, and we hear that said over and over again, we're doing more with less, and they are proving that they can get the job done at the local level.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Superintendent
yes.
Sherry Ibarra.
Really enjoyed it.